I've had these speakers down for about 1.5 years, and I think I'm going to take them down. Here's why. Won't you be my neighbor and subscribe to the channel? Oh, and also, click the affiliate link down below to support your neighbor. I've had the Focal Trio6s, STCs, whatever the new tweeter design is, for a little over 1.5 years at this point. I've probably gotten over 400 mixes and 100 to 150 masters on this. More if you consider how many like mix 2s, mix 3s there are. So I've spent some time in front of these speakers. Honestly, I couldn't be happier. Like, as clickbaity as the beginning of that hook is, having sat with these for so long, I definitely know, at least in this room, I'm a 3 driver kind of guy, and I like to be able to sit close. And there's been speakers that I have tried in here that I've liked. There's been some that have been like 3-way driver speakers that I feel like I can't get far enough away from. And I don't listen crazy loud anyway, and this is a massive speaker, right? This thing's big and it is heavy. Like I think it's, I want to say like 45 pounds. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Unboxing these things or even getting them up here by myself is difficult. So when you think about listening to them like as a close speaker, it kind of seems overkill. The thing that these do so well, better than most speakers that I've had in this room, the sweet spot is pretty big. I've had a pair of Dutch & Dutch in here. I love those speakers. But the thing with Dutch & Dutch sweet spot is if you're standing or sitting, wherever that is for you, and the beauty of these is I like to stand and sit. I'm still in the sweet spot of these things based on where I put them in the angle that they're sitting at. The Dutch & Dutch, even if you were to like slightly adjust your weight to one side, even just that much, I'm not in the sweet spot anymore. I haven't found another speaker that'll give you like the transient honesty of this, and I'm sure they're out there, right? Everybody's got their own favorites and everybody has like sounds that they like to hear, but this is what I like out of these, okay? And I'm not saying you need to go buy these. I'm saying this is what I like out of these, and if you can find something that does this, you should pick it up, whether it's this or not. But having that transient information laid to bear at whatever volume is, like even us sitting here listening to this, you can, like, you hear the transients on the drums so clear.
Oh yeah.
But then if I crank it, like, it doesn't go away. That's something that I really liked about the Dutch & Dutch, which were the first speakers that I really liked in that regard. You could turn them way down and listen at a just stupid low volume and still dial in attack times and release times, and I can do that here for almost half the cost, I think. When I first brought them into the room, I was excited because they were pretty hyped. I got a little bit nervous because it was a little more high-end than I really wanted coming from like Dutch & Dutch and some other speakers, because I did have the Focal twins before getting this, and it was the older twins, not the new tweeter design twin either. So it was like very fun to listen to, but not very honest to listen to. So I was a little nervous when I first put them up, but after a burn-in time of 40 hours, I put them in my back ISO booth and just blasted metal for a week solid while I was gone. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And by the time I got back, they were burned in, and when I put them back in here, the edge was gone. So proper burn-in on any speaker, not just these, any speaker, burn them in before you make a decision, because it is a completely different speaker. The other part of this about like why would I take these down after having like fallen in love with them, and like translation, not something I really think about because I got to know these so fast, quicker than just about any other monitor I've had, and I do not have room correction on these at all. There's enough dialing in on the back to get these sitting really, really well in this room. This is all based on your room that you're in. But on that note, let's take a walk. So this is the other room, and there's a whole lot of information coming about this room. I had a lot of help designing this room, and a lot of help building it with friends and family and people who just wanted to come swing a hammer. So this is a mixing suite. Just mixing. You can record in here, but it's not tied into the rest of the building. It's not even tied in via HVAC. We have our own HVAC in here. You can see there's Focal all around here. And it's not like I didn't try a bunch of speakers and I didn't have to put Focal in here. Like I genuinely like that Focal sound. And no matter what anybody says, every speaker type has their own kind of sound. I mean, every product in the music industry has a bias that goes into it. Some way that somebody likes to listen to something will definitely inform on how they make a product. And I should probably say this is not a sponsored video. No, this is not coming from anywhere. But other than I've sat with these for a long time, these I haven't sat with for as long. Although they were purchased pretty early on in the building process of this room because I needed to know what those speakers were going to be to figure out the layout of what this was going to look like. So I went with the Alpha Evo 65s, and these are a small fraction of the cost of those Trio6s, which are a small fraction of the cost of other speakers that I kind of noticed that they kind of hit against. Are they the same? No. Are they closer than they should be for their price? Yep. What I'm finding is the more time I spend in this room, the more I like mixing here. And it's not because it's a cooler vibe. It's also because I finally have windows. For the first time in my mixing career. Yeah, don't mind my neighbor's RV. I'd like for that thing to be moved. Being in here, like having a larger space to work in and actual natural sunlight has been a joy. One thing I have noticed is in trying to learn this, I would love to have some kind of familiar thing to work with, because in this room, I don't have my mix chain. I don't have my converters that I'm used to using, although the Aurea has been wildly awesome. Super clean conversion from so far, and there's a video coming about that. But what I would love to do and what I'm contemplating doing is taking down those speakers that have been over there for a year and a half and putting them in here, because I could learn this room so much faster. Getting a full set in here, being able to do stereo mixes would just be a dream come true sitting in this room. The difference between something like the 65 and the Trio, honestly, the low end extension is going to be the biggest thing. However, and you have listened to this, these 65s will hit pretty low. They will. They hit pretty darn low. They're a little more fun to listen to, a little less honest in the mids, but what are they? $399 a box, I think. So $329 and then $3,500. So roughly a factor of 10. You could buy 10 of these speakers for one of the Trios. There's a big difference. Is the difference that big? I don't think it's that big. The main differences that you know is like the honesty in the lower mids, where the Trios do such a good job of showing you everything in that like 300 to 700 range, and even on into like 1K, 2K. But that 300 to 700 seems super hard for a lot of monitors to get honest in a smaller room like what I have. If you're in a bigger room, it doesn't seem like to be such an issue with certain speakers, but a lot of us aren't working in massive control rooms. Like, this is the largest room I will have ever worked in a space that's my own. This is kind of a luxury for me, and it is a little easier to hear the lower mids in this space. That is not by my design. Honestly, having Gavin Haverstick help me with just the overall design of this room before anything happened to it. Like, he picked the room dimensions, the room modes, how far I need to build in a false wall to do the finished size, what all needs to happen on the walls. Like, he didn't come here and do the construction, but knowing all of that math that went into it before made the job so much easier. But if I could bring those other speakers in here and learn this space just dumb fast, could I do it without? I'm sure. But I am thinking about bringing those over here and just making this my mix space. Having worked with those speakers in that room for so long, because every bit of tracking that happens in the studio is going to happen in that room and the rest of the studio. The only thing I'm nervous about is putting something that I'm not used to in this room. That's the only fuzzy part for me. If I've preached anything on this channel, it's that your monitoring means more than anything else. And you can of course get used to anything, putting enough hours into it, but being a commercial space and being a space that people come and spend money in, and it's not necessarily my dollars on the line every time, it's somebody else's dollars on the line, so it kind of means more in that aspect. I want to make sure whatever I do in here is as good as it can be for that client. So I know if I mic up a kick drum and I don't like the way it sounds on these speakers, I can dial it in and what to do really fast. Only nervous part is if I bring like a pair of those 65s in here, am I going to have that kind of a cloudy lower mid-range and not know until I get back to my mix room? What would you guys do? Would you take your strongest speakers or use them in your tracking stage or use them in the mixing stage? Other things I've thought about bringing in is possibly trying out Dutch and Dutch again. I don't know. Maybe there's some other speakers that I need to try. Toss out some ideas because I'm genuinely curious. I like the Focal sound, but as far as this, I'm brand agnostic. If it sounds good, it sounds good. Just everything I've tried so far has been Focal that I've liked, in here at least. I should say all this is coming from the point, like, do you need these exact speakers? No. Am I telling you to go look at Focal? No. Again, this is not a sponsored video. To that point, hit that subscribe button, would you? It'll help me out a whole lot. If you are interested in something like this, there's always an affiliate link in the description below. Go check that out. But find a pair of speakers that you like. Find a pair of speakers that you get to this kind of a dilemma with, that you don't know if you want them at this stage in the process or at the later stage in the process. And most of you are probably working in one room, and this isn't even going to be an issue for you at all. But the most important step in the process, regardless of where they're sitting, is your monitoring. And there's a whole other video, hopefully to demonstrate at that point, a very cheap rig versus a very expensive rig coming pretty soon. This was after sitting with these things for about a year and a half. If you want to see my initial response, honestly still holds true. Go check out the first video I did on these down here. Go check that out. Okay, bye.